You are a freelancer with a side investment in rental real estate. Maybe one rental property. Maybe a small portfolio. You bought it expecting tax benefits. Depreciation losses to offset your high freelance income. Then you filed your taxes. And your accountant said something brutal. Those losses are passive. You cannot use them against your freelance earnings. They just sit there and pile up. Welcome to the world of passive activity loss. Rules under IRC Section 469. There is one election that breaks this lock. Real estate professional status. REPS. Today, I walk you through what REPS is, why most freelancers fail to qualify, and the two legitimate workarounds that make it accessible for side investors in 2026. Welcome to the Freelancers Wealth Blueprint. This is where we turn freelance income into long-term wealth. If you own rental property or you are planning to buy any, hit that subscribe button. This is the most expensive tax mistake most freelance investors make. Let us get into it. Let us start with what is being blocked. Under IRC Section 469, rental real estate is automatically treated as a passive activity. It does not matter how much time you spend on it. Passive losses can only offset passive income. Your freelance income is not passive. Your W-2 income is not passive. Your interest and dividends are not passive. So if your rental throws off a $30,000 paper loss from depreciation this year, you cannot use it to cut your freelance tax. The loss gets suspended. It carries forward until you have passive income or until you sell. REPS is the election that flips all of this. If you qualify as a real estate professional under Section 469, your rental activities leave the automatic passive category. Then, if you materially participate in each rental, the losses become non-passive. Now, they can offset your freelance income, your W-2 income, anything. This is enormous. A freelancer earning $200,000 in net profit, showing a $40,000 paper rental loss, could save roughly $12,000 to $16,000 in tax in a single year if REPS applies. But here is why most freelancers cannot use it. REPS has two hard tests, and you must pass both. Test 1. You must perform more than 750 hours of personal services during the tax year in real property trades or businesses. That is about 14 hours every single week, all year long. Real property work counts. Property visits, handling tenants, supervising contractors, doing your own renovations, just reading reports about your portfolio does not count. That is investor activity, not real property work. Test 2 is the killer. More than half of all the personal services hours you work, across every trade or business, must be in real property. Picture this. You spend 2,000 hours freelancing and 1,000 hours on real estate. You cleared the 750-hour minimum easily. But real estate is only 33% of your work time. So you fail test 2. Most working freelancers fail this test unless they cut their freelance hours way down. And that defeats the whole purpose. So let us talk solutions. The first legitimate workaround is the spousal REPS strategy. On a joint return, only one spouse needs to qualify. Say you are the freelancer making $250,000 a year, and your spouse stays home with the kids or works part-time. Your spouse can be the REPS qualifier. They handle the rental management. They log their 750 hours. They document that real estate is more than half of their personal services hours. And the whole household gets the REPS designation. Material participation is then measured for both spouses combined. This is how real freelancers unlock REPS without quitting their day job. The second workaround is the short-term rental loophole. And this one is fascinating because it does not require REPS at all. Under IRS Publication 925 and the underlying rules, properties with an average customer stay of 7 days or less are not treated as rental activities for the passive loss rules. They are treated as a business activity. So, if you materially participate even without REPS, the losses can be non-passive and offset your freelance income. Think Airbnb properties, vacation rentals, executive housing. If the average stay is 7 days or less and you materially participate, You skip the 750-hour and more than half tests entirely. So how do you materially participate? You just need to meet one of 7 tests under the regulations. The simplest one is 500 hours in the activity for the year. Another is doing substantially all of the work yourself. Another is 100 hours with no one else doing more than you. 500 hours is very achievable for a serious operator. That is roughly 10 hours a week managing your short-term rental. Booking, cleaning coordination, guest communication, maintenance, and the books all count. This is exactly why so many high-income freelancers buy short-term rentals on purpose. Combine the loophole with 100% bonus depreciation, which is fully restored under the new law for 2026. Then add a cost segregation study. That study reclassifies 30 to 40% of the purchase price into 5-year and 15-year property. On a $1 million property, you can generate a paper loss of $150,000 to $300,000 in the very first year. For a freelancer earning $400,000, that single move can save $60,000 to $90,000 in federal tax. The catch is simple. The average stay must genuinely be 7 days or less. Now, documentation is non-negotiable. The IRS has won the majority of contested reps cases at the tax court. Hakuk in 2023, Bailey in 2020, or Mirzai in 2019. The common thread in all of them: taxpayers claimed reps without contemporaneous time logs. You need to track your hours by date, by activity, by property, with a brief description recorded as the work happens, not reconstructed at tax time. A tracking app works. Detailed calendar entries work. A daily notebook works. A spreadsheet you build in March after the year ended does not. One quick note on self-employment tax. Rental real estate income is exempt from self-employment tax under IRC Section 1402. So is most short-term rental income. The exception is if you provide substantial hotel-style services, daily cleaning, concierge, meals. That can turn it into self-employment income subject to the full 15.3%. Standard Airbnb operations without those services stay free of self-employment tax. So you keep the loss benefit without picking up the extra tax. Here is your action plan. If you have a spouse who can absorb the rep's workload, run the spousal strategy with a long-term rental portfolio and log hours contemporaneously. If neither of you can absorb that workload, buy a short-term rental with an average stay of 7 days or less. Log 500+ hours and use the loophole instead. Either way, stack it with cost segregation and 100% bonus depreciation to maximize the first-year offset. And work with an accountant who knows real estate, not a generalist. If this saved you from a trap that costs freelancer investors tens of thousands every year, hit subscribe. I will see you in the next one. This content is for educational purposes only and does not constitute tax advice. Consult a qualified tax professional for guidance specific to your situation.